Hi guys, Blake here today with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on middle of the Lake Taneycomo in Branson, Missouri. It is the 3rd of May and I'm going to do the one cast for you today. So today we boated down here to the landing. I am sitting just directly below the fish house at the moment. And I got a couple different things with me today, but the first thing we're going to start off doing is we have a 50th ounce PJ's, that is brown and ginger. And I've got that on one of our little, I don't know if I can back up far enough to get it on camera, weighted corks. And I've got that set about 8 foot deep right now. It's all 2-pound line here. And I've gotten good reports from Captain Dwayne and a few other people about there being some fish down here. And the pink power worm and jigs under a float and just free jigging have all been working well down here whenever there's one, when the water is running that slow. $35 megawatts, which is what they're running right now. And there is, oh, he's going to take off again. Look at that. There is a fish on the first cast. Nice little stalker rainbow. This whole stretch here below the fish house, it's all one big eddy. It usually holds a lot of fish. And you could come fish from the bank here too. They've got plenty of public fishing docks down the way. There's another one. That's a little guy. That is smaller than stalker. I'd be willing to venture that this is a natural born trout. He has all of his fins, everything is perfect. Only about 6 inches long, still got his little juvenile par marks, very colorful. I'd be willing to say that one might have been born here. Generally they mark them, sorry bud, flopped the wrong direction. Generally they mark them out of the hatchery by taking a fin off. And then the area in front of the fish house restaurant here, between it and the other marina, usually holds a lot of fish, and even the parking lot stretched down from the bridge, all those areas are fairly good for what we're doing right now. And for some reason the fish down here will hit like spoons and like rooster tail spinners a little bit more, even like down in front of Kanakuk camps. So those are all good things to throw down here too. I also brought a rooster tail with me today. Thought I'd give it a try just to see if it was working. And with the water moving slow, jig under a float, you're gonna take that and move it around a bunch. There was a bite. Kind of let it get settled all the way underneath the indicator and then move it forward 6 to 10 or 12 inches. There's another bite. Then let it settle again and kind of do that same thing until you get it back into the boat to recast. If it was earlier in the morning, I'd say you could set this probably more at like 5 or 6 foot deep, but because we got, it's a little after 1, maybe even going on 2 in the afternoon, I'm gonna set it a little deeper. This fish don't like that sun a whole lot. There was another bite. They're just barely nipping the tail feathers there. He finally got a hold of it. I was going to show that one to the camera, but he was hooked pretty loosely there. So from like 7 to 11 this morning, they ran 3 units. And then they kicked it back to this 35 megawatts for the rest of the day. But this jig and float method with the 35 megawatts is working pretty good all around the entire lake, not just down here, but I've been using it up by the dam too. I got another one on. He's not much longer, but he's certainly a lot fatter than the rest of those. I'm spot locked here. I'm just staying in one spot, but I could let the boat drift down this entire section here. It all stays relatively the same depth, and it's all even slower water because of this big building here. And I'd be willing to bet that there's trout all the way down this stretch here. But no sense in leaving fish to find fish. I think we will break out the rooster tail here in a second and see if we can stick any on a rooster tail. Oh, he pulled on it. I like to use the smallest weighted cork that we sell up there whenever you're throwing these small baits like this, or if you got a pink power worm on a jig head underneath the float. Just easier to see the strike. Just like I said, sometimes they don't just pull the bobber all the way under. It's kind of just a little riffle off the bobber indicating that they have hit it. And you can do all this stuff on a fly rod and just use a normal indicator on the fly rod. With the fly rod, you're casting the weight of the line instead of the weight of the bait, so you don't have to worry about how small the jig is. It is easier to cast something that's longer than your rod, meaning that the space between my indicator or my bobber to my fly is longer than the rod itself. So to cast that easier, you just flip it and land it on the water behind you and then kind of lob it forward. It's called water loading, and it's a way to manage a cast when you've got a lot of length underneath your bobber. Try sending one this way. The wind is kind of causing my spot lock to redirect here. I think we'll break out that rooster tail after this cast. But the pink power worm on a jig head underneath the same float would be a great option down here as well. Dwayne said they came down here this morning and they did both underneath the indicator, and then they even just threw like a 16th ounce jig and jigged it, and all three were catching fish. So you could just work a jig down here as well. I think we're going to switch over to the rooster tail, and we're just going to kind of cruise down towards that first dock and see if anything takes the rooster tail, which is something I don't throw very often. Oh, come on now. Cooperate. All right. So the rooster tail I've got seems to me to be about a 1/16 ounce or so. I don't know, I didn't pull it out of a package. I found a drawer in Phil's office that had some random rooster tails tangled together. And this one is painted like a rainbow trout. When I work, which isn't very often, when I work a rooster tail out here, I kind of let it sink down for a second. I keep a slow reeling motion, but I'll kind of jig up on the rod just very, very gingerly. Gonna make that thing dance a little bit. I don't know if it helps any or not, but it does in my mind. Oh, I see a fish following it. He didn't want it though. Let it sink a little farther this time before we start. A lot of the time it is just about having the correct depth. If you're not down where the fish are at, probably not going to catch them. I can't tell. It looks like this rooster tail might be slightly faulty. Doesn't look like that blade's spinning completely free like it's supposed to. Beautiful day here on the lake. Tomorrow, I think we start a chance rain for like the next 3 days. However, it's also supposed to warm up at the same time. And by like Friday through Sunday in the mid to high 80s. I just don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But it's coming regardless of whether I'm ready, so. But sounds like we're gonna have pretty good rain for the next 3 days. I think they're calling for up to a couple inches. I don't know if that'll put us, I guess it depends on how fast it comes, on whether we'll go high enough to see floodgates or not, but I imagine we'd need a few inches of rain to get that to happen. Well, I saw one fish chase it back, but I haven't really felt any hits on this thing yet. But I do know that we have quite a few people that come down here and throw spinners and rooster tails and spoons of different varieties and catch the fish pretty well down here, so it's definitely worth a try if you're going to be down this way. And it could be that I just chose the wrong rooster tail, but I think I'm gonna call it quits on that one. So we thank you guys for watching today. Like and share us on Facebook, and we'll get back out to do it again tomorrow. Till then.